Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. I wanted to just make a quick video wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas and just wanted to talk about some movies I really enjoy that in some way, shape, or form involve Christmas. So a movie I haven't watched in a long time, but I've always really enjoyed. One of the movies I could probably say the sequel I remember just as well or maybe better than the original, which most movies don't do. The only other one off the top of my head I can think of that's better than the original is The Road Warrior, and I always say that compared to Mad Max, in my opinion. But Batman Returns, great movie, great 80s superhero movie. You know, Michael Keaton really did a good job. The Joker was in the original one. The second one had Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Catwoman was played by Michelle Pfeiffer. I thought they were both great. You know, it has a darkness to it. Takes place around the holidays and Christmas time, so it has that kind of cool, eerie element going on. So Batman Returns is just a great flick. I actually never upgraded these movies to Blu-ray. I don't know why. I guess I don't know. These are ones I've always enjoyed, but I never went back to again. Maybe one day I'll pick up one of those Blu-ray packs that has like 4 Batmans for $8 or whatever on Blu-ray. Another one I really like a lot that tickles my nostalgia bone, that I still enjoy, is Gremlins. Gremlins is the old classic movie where this Mogwai, that's the kind of animal it is, Gizmo, gets purchased by this guy for his kid for Christmas. And there's all these rules, you know, don't let it hit direct sunlight, I think is one of them. Don't feed it after midnight. It can't hit water. If water hits it, something happens. They never fully explain it until something does happen, and he multiplies, and these like demonic mogwais come out of him. And it's a pretty good film. It's got some not creepiness to it, but I can see like a small child maybe being slightly creeped out by it. I noticed I've been doing that a lot lately, where when I make a video, I reference the age group of who should be watching or playing something. That's most likely because I'm getting old and thinking about children at this point. So, Gremlins is a great movie. It's a great 80s movie. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. The sequel's good too. And it's cute, it's funny, it's got a little bit of a darkness to it, good sense of humor. It's a great Spielberg film, so check out Gremlins if you haven't, though I'm sure most of you know of it. Another movie which has an interesting take to it for me, an interesting story I should say, is Love Actually. So probably the only romantic comedy or straight romantic comedy on this list, and this movie is up there for me in terms of like love stories with Return to Me, which is one of my other favorite like love story movies. I also do enjoy Sweet November and A Walk in the Clouds, but Love Actually is a movie that I saw on a whim, and it's weird the way the circumstance happened. So I went on a date with this girl back when I was maybe 19 years old. It was never anything serious. I think we dated a few weeks. And we go in, and there's this movie theater near my house, and we see, they only had 2 or 3 screens. It's a pretty small theater. We went to see, I want to say it was Cat in the Hat. I don't think it was The Grinch. I always mix those 2 movies up. But I want to say it was Cat in the Hat. And we started watching it, and we were like 5 minutes in, and I'm like, this movie is fucking terrible. So I'm like, we gotta get out of here. I can't watch this shit. So I go out, and I say to the guy, listen, man, this movie's really bad. Can I go into the other movie? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. So we go in, and we watch Love Actually, and I have no idea what it's about. And it's cool because it's 4 different love stories. So there's, Hugh Grant is the president of, I guess, the Prime Minister. And he's fallen in love with this girl who's like like an aide. Liam Neeson, his wife had died, I believe, and he's raising his son alone, and the son's falling in love with this girl at the school. So there's like that point of view. Actually, there's 5 stories, I think. This one I don't want to ruin, but Keira Knightley's involved in one of them. This one I don't want to ruin either. And then the final one is there's this guy writing a he's like a screenwriter, or he writes books, and he's falling in love with his like assistant who doesn't speak English. So initially they don't get along well, and the language barriers there, but the language of love, you know, gets past the language barriers. So there's some sadness in the film, definitely. There's a couple stories that are sad, that don't particularly end well, but there are some that just end really nice. And it's just a cute little like romantic comedy. So if you and your girl hanging out on the couch watching some shit and you want to watch like a love story, and it's funny, I would definitely recommend Love Actually. So check that out. Another good one that always reminds me of my brother, because him and I both have a very similar sense of humor in terms of vulgarities and cursing, is Bad Santa. They're coming out with a sequel to this soon, but this is a really raunchy, funny comedy where Billy Bob Thornton is like a low ranking thief. You know, he's like a real slimeball. And every Christmas he plays Santa Claus at like the mall or whatever, and or Macy's or whatever store it is, and he, you know, like cases the joint, and then at the end of the Christmas season, his friend and him go in and, you know, shut off all the cameras and break the safe and steal everything, and then they're broke, you know, until they have the money to use until the next year. So they're like known for doing that. He like, you know, has sex with fat women in the stalls, like the changing rooms. There's a part with a hooker, and he pulls up to the hooker in his car, and people are in his room like snooping around, and he sees them in like the corner snooping around, and he pulls up in his car slow, and he's like, "Hey, what? I have to ask you a favor." And she's like, "We're not doing that again, Willie." She goes, "I didn't shit right for a week." So like there's like funny moments like that, lots of cursing, lots of really like funny toilet humor. He also ends up meeting this kid who like gets bullied and looks like a real, you know, he's got snot all over his face, his underwear like all hanging out. He looks like, you know, kind of trashy and like a little kid who just isn't really intelligent or whatever. And he lives with his grandmother who has dementia. So Billy Bob Thornton goes there and like takes advantage of the situation and moves himself and his girlfriend in, and him and the kid have some great, very funny interactions throughout the course of the movie. So I look forward to watching the sequel, you know, soonish. But check out Bad Santa if you like really vulgar humor with your Christmas movies. And hands down, I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts, my favorite Christmas movie ever is Scrooged. And if you haven't seen Scrooge, it's one of Bill Murray's like famous films. Sort of dark, sort of funny, you know, has that overarching point it has to make to people, but has a little bit of a love story in there too. Bill Murray is like a slimeball CEO of this huge corporation, almost like an NBC, and his life's really going down the wrong path. He's got like no family really that he speaks to. His friends are all like just people business oriented. It's not like he actually has friends or family. And he gets visited by the three ghosts, the ghost of Christmas present, past, and future. And it's kind of like that whole, you know, Ebenezer Scrooge story, but from an 80s point of view. And the ghosts, some of the ghosts are very creepy, some of them are funny. There's some cursing and like funny humor, but there's also some really dark points of the movie and really cool special effects for back then in terms of what some of the characters look like and some of the scenes. Practical effects, I would assume, because back then they didn't have CG. And you know, as a kid, I always like really liked this movie. As I got older, I saw more and got more from it as I watched it. And it's just a great dark comedy Christmas movie. One of the scenes that always stuck with me, that I always thought was very sad, was there's a character in the movie who is homeless, and instead of staying in the homeless shelter, he goes to live like underground in this like weird sewer system kind of thing, and he freezes to death. And as a kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my god, this is like this nice, goofy character. I can't think of the actor who plays him, but he's in a lot of stuff. You definitely recognize him from the 80s and 90s. And you know, it's such a weird final type of thing for that character to have in this film. But lots of the characters are very cute and very funny. One of the best parts of the movie is he's trying to like change his life up and reconnect with his old flame from when he was younger and when he was a better and different person. And he walks into this homeless shelter to see her because she donates time there or works there or whatever. And they think he's Dick Burton, the old actor. And he does sort of look like Dick Burton. So they start quoting like Cleopatra and start asking him to like do scenes from his old movies. So it's very funny. If you're a Bill Murray fan, you kind of owe it to yourself to see this film. It's my favorite Bill Murray film, hands down. So these are some of my favorite holiday movies for Christmas. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas and you get everything you want, and more importantly, you spend some quality time with your families out there, because you never know when they're not going to be there. So thanks guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.